Hello everybody, this is Garrett from 11 Bang Bang. As you can tell, Halloween's almost here. Here lately we have not been putting out many shooting videos, as you could probably noticed, and including this one's not going to be a shooting video. But the reason for that is the morning's taking longer for the sun to get up. It'll change pretty soon here in November, but we used to go early on Sunday mornings or during the work week and try to get it done before we'd start work and make some videos. Here lately I've been gone, Ethan's been gone, we've had funerals. With everything going on, the military's got Ethan training all the time. He's out training right now. And so with the sun coming up later and later, we're running out of daylight in the morning hours before we really got to get going. If you guys check out my other channel, just the Garrett Woods channel, I've kind of discussed what's going on over there in a couple of other videos. But basically we're working towards some other goals, but that does not mean we have stopped studying things we could do after the sun goes down. Right now we are currently working on 2 series, and I know I've said this a lot. The Trapdoor Series is coming, guys, and I apologize for the amount of time it has taken me to get this accomplished. Would have already been out with episode 1, except that the 1861 style Civil War Springfield musket that we had ordered or was in the process of getting, it fell through. So now we're back on the hunt for another one. I don't know. I may actually cut in another person's video of a 61 musket into the video so that I can just get the series rolling and get started with the actual 1865 rimfire trapdoor. But I do actually have that script for the 1865 and 66 completely written, and I've actually filmed some of it. And here's a little clip, here's you a little teaser of what that's going to be like. We have on the table here, I have 3 1866s. Mind you, this is filmed in the old setup because this was filmed a little while ago. Most of the new series is going to be in a new setup with better lighting, a lot less yellow. But just to tantalize your taste buds, here's a little clip of what will be in episode 1. Pardon, like I said, the yellow. Most of the episode will be filmed in better lighting. That was actually a clip from the 1866 episode, and it will be coming pretty soon. But like I said, we got behind again. Every time I think we're going to get it out, we fall a little bit farther behind on trying to find that first gun. We have literally every other gun that you would want in this series. I believe we have 10. It's going to be a 10 episode series as far as I know, unless something else jumps up. But and we have everything else from the beginning to the end. We have the 65, the 66, the 68, the 70. We do not have a 70 carbine, but we may be able to manufacture one. We're kind of questioning whether or not we're going to do that right now. If anybody's even interested enough in the 70 carbine to see an episode on it. Only 300 were made, and they were issued down in Texas. Anyway, so we have the 65, the 66, the 68, the 70, the 73 Type 1, which a lot of people don't even realize that's a thing, the pre-1877 change with the high arch and the more narrow receiver. And then we have the 78 version, or the 77 version, whatever you want to call it, which is the wider, no arch, change everything, change the sight style a little bit. There's a few other changes on it, but it is actually its own rifle. There's enough changed on the gun. The whole receiver is changed to call it a different model. It's the 73. I would call it the 73-77. We have the 73 carbine. We have the, I have to stop and think. We have the 73 carbine. We have the 1884 model, and we have the we have the 1881 Forager shotgun, the 1884, and the 1888 cleaning rod bayonet rifle. So there's around 10 videos in there, and there's probably a couple even there that I missed of odds and ends little ones. We don't have the main ones. We don't have are the trapdoor pistol, which only about 3 of them were made to start with originally. We do not have the long range rifle, which is a very expensive piece. We do not have the 70 carbine, as I said, which is a 50-70 carbine. It's in 50-70, but it's on the 1870 pattern. And we do not actually have yet the 30 caliber trial guns, but we're talking about getting one of those made out of maybe a bubbled up, cut down. Somebody cut the stock off of an 1877 model or an 1884 model, and we put a 30 caliber barrel on it and chamber it for 30-40 Krag. That's way in the future, but that we don't have that one, and we don't have the 1906 fencing rifle, training rifle, but that one is actually going to be fairly easy to get our hands on. But all the main rifles that people know and love in the series we have. Those others are just very small story offshoots, like only 500 of the long-range rifle, 300 carbines. I'm not sure how many. I think there was only 4 maybe test 30-40 Krag models, and I'm not sure how many of the fencing models there were. There didn't seem to be good records for that, but long story short, we're very close on that, and we have, like I said, a lot of it filmed. I have 2 episodes completely scripted. But right now, all that's on hold because we have Thanksgiving coming up, and as some of you know, last year we started an annual series on Thanksgiving, which is, by the way, even though I love my history of the handguns occult and stuff like that, Thanksgiving series has been my absolute favorite to study for because 17th century firearms was like stepping into a whole new world for me. You know, sometimes we can get to study in one subject so long, cap and ball revolvers, standard flintlocks, that you kind of start reading the same thing over and over and over again. Stepped into this new world last year of matchlocks, snap-ons, wheel locks, and it was just so fresh and so new, and I was so ready for it, and I am ready for it again because Ethan is nearly done building that wheel lock, and it's very possible we may have a wheel lock rifle, or not rifle, but musket in at the same time. I don't know if it's going to be finished in time. We have it. We just haven't got it finished. It's going to require some work, and as we found out that building a rifle or a lock completely from castings is a very intense project. Ethan did build that wheel lock literally completely from rough castings. Even the chain links were rough castings. The screws, everything was rough when he bought that wheel lock, and it is nearly done. I'm excited. I can't believe how narrow it got, how thin it got from when it started. These are very thin, light, well-balanced pistols. And episode 2 is going to be the Wheelock. We covered the matchlock last year, and I have just been diving in and hitting the Wheelock history in North America, some of it in Europe. I actually have a few, I'm not going to spoil it yet, but I have a few collaborations lined up for this episode. Should release about 10 days before Thanksgiving. You're going to see some of the one of the most expensive, finely made, engraved, inlaid, and I'm not going to tell you whose it is or how much it is. You'll find out probably all that later. I don't know if he'll say how much such a thing costs, but wheel lock puffer pistols fired, and of course we will have our own Germanic style of the early 17th century, 1620-ish wheel lock pistol, and possibly, like I said, a wheel lock Fowler if it gets done in time. But I've been hitting the books, and a few months ago I asked if you guys had any suggestions on books from the 17th century. You guys gave me a lot of good suggestions. I've picked up on them. I've got about 5 books on the subject, and I've been studying. Like I said, this is going to be a big episode. Hopefully it's going to be one of our highest quality episodes thus far. We always try to up the ante, make this more of a documentary style thing, but I don't have all my books here, but just let me grab the ones I've been in. Plymouth Colony, and what this is it's just it's 2 main books. This is 1,000 pages, by the way, and it is William Bradford's Plymouth Plantation and Mary Rowland's The Sovereignty and Goodness of God, and basically it's just diary excerpts, and there's over 1,100 pages. I think there's 1,200 pages in this book, and it is an excellent book. There's no way I'm going to be done with it in time for the episode, but I am going to definitely be done with William Bradford's Plymouth Plantation section, and there's a lot of good stuff in there. There's wheel locks are so hard to define in the 17th century because originally, early in the 17th century, when they say fire lock, they mean wheel lock, as in a lock that contains its own fire, and you do not need a match or an outside source of fire. So early in the century, when they say fire lock, you can bet it's a wheel lock. But as time goes on and the snap-ons becomes more prominent, which it had been invented about 1580 basically in there in the low countries, and as it becomes more prominent in about 1620, with the time of the Pilgrims, it becomes a mash. Everything that's snap-ons, wheel-lock, anything that contains its own fire is just referred to as fire-lock. So John Smith will often refer to snap-ons and fire-locks separately, but by the time you get to the Plymouth colony, everything's just fire-lock or carbine. But very interesting. I found some very interesting cases and studies on when they were used, and a couple that we actually know were at Plymouth, so therefore it can be included. It's just a very hard thing to track down in the era. But anyway, yeah, I got that out here. Like I said, I got the Cooper book, a couple other books that people have suggested that are over there, the American Rifle, or the Rifle in America, a couple others, but the main go-to here, Arms and Armor in Colonial America, 1526 to 1783, sorry, by Harold L. Peterson. And if this is the Colt Bible, Haven and Belden, I still have it out here from the chat the other night, then for most people this is the Bible on 16th century American arms or colonial arms. And it's not quite as thick, obviously, as Haven and Belden. A lot of good information in here, but the long and short of it is it was published in 1968, and a few things have changed as excavations have gone on. For instance, in here he talks about he doesn't say it doesn't exist, but he couldn't find a lot of evidence of snap-ons of all things at Plymouth Colony. Well, since then they have done a lot more archaeology in the old houses, and what they're finding is that after about 1625, the snap-ons quickly becomes the most used prolific firearm of the colony between about 1625 and 1692. And of course he missed that, but he had no way of knowing because the archaeological work had not been done yet in 1968. So there's a few things like that in this book, but overall, great book. Just know when you go into it, that's one thing. I think it's probably really the only thing in this book that's been disproven. And he doesn't say, obviously, come out and say the snap-ons wasn't there. He just says that he hasn't seen the records or the evidence for it. And I really appreciate that in an author like this. Very, very easy to read book. If you're looking for wheel locks, you're going to see some cool stuff in this Thanksgiving video thanks to this book. Things like pieces of armor that you would not expect to see in a Thanksgiving book. This is going to be a crazy episode. I can't wait for it. Like I said, completely scripted out already, ready to go. We just got to find the daylight hours to sit down and, well, not sit down, stand up and go out and film this video. And Ethan has to get the final touches done on the wheel lock. So that's kind of what's going on around here right now. Going to be some double action revolver videos coming up, some classics and some more modern stuff. I hope you guys don't mind that. I know most of you guys absolutely love when we do the flintlock, cap lock, black powder stuff, but we're going to start mixing in some early 20th century revolvers, a couple of them anyway. You know, we're looking at Cold Army Special and maybe some Smith & Wesson, maybe Handy Jack style stuff, and we're going to start mixing that in just a little bit because we're like anybody else. We got to move from subject to subject ourselves, or we get tired of being on the same subject all the time. And so, like Ethan, he'll get into flintlock mode, and then he won't be able to do anything else for about 2 months. And then we try to make all the flintlock videos we can. Then he'll kind of move out of that mode into a Western mode, and we'll try to make as many Smith & Wesson videos as you can. Me, I'll be going back and forth between cap locks, Mountain Man style rifles, Hawken, quote-unquote Hawken style rifles, and I'll go back and forth from that to maybe some 1870s pistols, or, single shot rifles, and then every now and then I get the double action revolver bug. Kind of got it right now, and you're going to be seeing some of that coming up. But still classic guns, from a different time period, just a little closer. Well, like I said, I'm not saying we're going all the way into that. That's just going to be a few of the upcoming videos. And so anyway, we have just this morning hit 15,000 subscribers, and I absolutely appreciate that. We are really moving on, and surprisingly, a lot of the subscribers, even though our long format video numbers have been down the last few weeks that we've put them out, we're still getting a lot of subscribers from long format videos, mostly the 51 Navy video, and Ethan's, well, it's starting to fall off, but Ethan's Charlottesville accuracy test videos just are one of our bread and butter evergreen videos, so those things really take off. We have a few shorts that do help a little bit too, but overall, that's the state of the channel right now. I'm sorry we haven't got more videos out just of shooting. We'll be coming out with some more. We still have the pumpkin carving video to do. We already drew for it a couple weeks ago, but like I said, just thing after thing after thing has come up, has kept us from finishing and completing it. So, I think I've rambled enough. I hope you all are... Oh, one more thing. We do have the... we are back in full swing with the Reload show, which is co-hosted by Snapper, Duke, and I, and we'll all broadcast all 3 channels. We're not probably going to have Tales of the Trails maybe next week. We do have the Reload show coming up by the time you see this video. I'm making it a few days earlier than when it's released. But by the time you see this video, we will be getting ready for our Halloween special of the Reload show. And I'm not sure what day that's going to be. Check the community notes, the community post, and we will let you know what day that's going to be. But we are back on a bi-weekly schedule with that. I have some people lined up. And starting in November, we're going to start having guests again, and we'll be back on our regular schedule with that. Hopefully, haven't figured out what day of the week it's going to be, because Duke Frazier, like you guys know, he's back to Colorado. He's got a new job, and I'm really trying to work around his schedule, and we haven't actually figured out when that's going to be yet. So just stay tuned. Just know that every 2 weeks, one day of the week at some point, we will start releasing the Reload show again. So anyway, as always, trust in God. Keep your powder dry. Bye.